This episode of BTP Daily is brought to you by K Rico Coffee, man. One of the best coffee places you can go to, and they're also selling coffee for everyone all over the place. But it's nice to have some coffee at home. It's also nice to have some coffee somewhere else, but it's also tremendous to go have some over at K Rico Coffee. For those of you that live down in South Florida, definitely a place you want to go to. It's over at 2728 Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood. And you will enjoy it. JR and the gang have some tremendous coffee, have some tremendous types of coffee recipes and all this other good stuff that you will definitely enjoy. But more what you will enjoy, other than the coffee, let me be completely honest with you on this one, is the people. You go in there, you chat, they talk. What a concept, right? People talking nowadays face to face and, actually caring about what you say. And no need to really look at your cell phone in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, K Rico Coffee gives you that more human experience, that human touch, because they care so much about their craft, but they also care so much about making you, the consumer, happy with your cup of coffee. Whatever type of coffee you might like, everybody has different tastes, everybody has different likes. K Rico Coffee has it for you. K Rico Coffee. It's the people that make coffee good.
Hola, soy David Sánchez. Quiero invitar a todos a escuchar Beyond the Page. Y nada, un saludo a todos y que Dios los bendiga.
Gracias, papá.
There were several times that I was extremely supportive of Juan Carlos Osorio. Sometimes maybe you could even fault me of being too supportive of Juan Carlos Osorio, and that's fine. But to say that there wasn't any injustice while he was Mexican national team coach would be unfair. Now, let me do a 180 on this, because part of being fair or trying to be as fair and as logical as possible is to call people out when they're doing things right, but also mention when they're doing wrong. And there is something very wrong with Juan Carlos Osorio and what he has done as far as being Paraguayan national team. It's been a very brief time, albeit it has been very controversial. Now, imagine, if you will, that you are dating or you're married to your special someone. Or, person, actually. We can make somebody up if you don't have someone. That's fine. But that person comes to you and says, you know what? Someday I'm going to be with that person, him, her, my dream person. That's my aspiration. My aspiration is to be over there with them. Not with you, with them. How would that make you feel? Well, that kind of is the situation the Paraguayan press, and to a certain extent the Paraguayan FA, feel right now when it comes to their coach. Their coach pretty much talks about the Colombian national team more than he talks about his own players. He's called up several players, and a bit of an ironic twist is that those same players that he was telling not to go to Major League Soccer when they were with the Mexican national team, well, now you start to see that about 4 or 5 players from the Paraguayan national team, and they're his latest call-up, playing Major League Soccer. Now, call it what you will, but that's a little bit of an irony if you ask me. Now, going back with Osorio and what he has been able to generate is a great deal of discord already. And he hasn't had an official match as national team coach yet. And there are a lot of journalists and a lot of former players that are really not too happy with Osorio. And in Paraguay, that takes a lot. That takes a great deal to really generate as far as that's concerned. They're generally a bit more patient. Not much, but a bit more patient than in other countries. And case in point, Paraguay is not as impatient as Brazil, as Argentina, to just give you a couple of examples. And even Chile, we can pretty much throw that into the mix. Osorio, I hope he's able to change his mindset, change his mentality. He should not be posturing himself, positioning himself for another job while he has one. It doesn't look, there's nothing illegal about it. It's just not ethical. Because the same way he's treating Paraguay now, it could be the same way Colombia feels. Now, let's say for some reason Pep Guardiola resigns at Manchester City. And one of the possible candidates would be Juan Carlos Osorio. Let's see if that's a possibility. It's not crazy. I mean, it might be highly improbable. But let's say that is the case. And also, there's rumblings that Juan Carlos Osorio is going to be the next coach of Manchester City. Well, he's a Colombian national team coach. That's a place that he's coached. That's a place that he would love to be. So now, would his mindset change as soon as that opportunity comes to be? That's another question. I remember a friend of mine in high school said, yeah, you know what? It was an experience that I had. Hey, you know what? Yeah, that girl left her boyfriend for you, but what makes you think that she's not going to leave you for somebody else? I always remember that. I always remember that particular experience. In the end, it kind of happened, but, we kind of mutually parted ways. But again, that comes back to, everything seems greener on the other side. The pasture just seems greener the further away you get. And it just seems like there is a sense of insatiability, which is fine. I mean, it's part of what the sport is all about, trying to become better and trying to achieve, the job that you've always, clamored. But you get to a certain point that you have to understand where you are at right now. You have to understand the immediate moment and not start dreaming about what could be 1, 2, 5, 10 years from now. That's where Juan Carlos Osorio finds himself. He finds himself already looking elsewhere because this was not his first opportunity. This was not his first option. He knew what his first option was, and it was Colombia. But because of the disorganization within the FA and the lack of leadership that there is, and not lack of leadership as far as a president that's not strong, it's just a lack of leadership of a president that has a presence, but he's also looking to unite certain fronts in order to get a consensus coach. Mind you, there's a reason why Jose Peckerman's not the coach anymore. First of all, Pascual Lescano wasn't going to be part of the coaching staff, or he wasn't wanted as part of the coaching staff. Number two, not everyone in the Colombian FA wanted Jose Peckerman as a coach. So there was no unanimity as far as a coach was concerned. And there never will be, but you have to try and get as close to it as possible in those types of situations when you have a committee and such a vast committee voting for him. In the case of Osorio, of course, there was a lack of coordination as far as getting a name. And it wasn't well seen either that Osorio was really going after and really posturing himself and positioning himself and using the media as an outlet to position himself as the front runner for the national team job. That probably was the one aspect of it all that really rubbed people the wrong way as far as Juan Carlos Osorio. It rubbed me the wrong way. Because knowing how the Colombian media has dealt with the national team coach in previous years before Peckerman came in, it was all about getting exclusivity, getting access, becoming chummy with the coach so he could give you the information that you needed and only one or two journalists needed in order to be those eminences, in order to be those authorities. And the way that many of these journalists in Colombia, especially the old school journalists, became prominent was because of those relationships that they had with the national team coach back then. So just to keep you abreast of what's going on, well, that's where Juan Carlos Osorio has gone wrong, and gone wrong in a terrible way.